Well, as you have noticed, we have had quite a bit of rain here recently, and I'm not complaining. Please do not hear any complaints here. I love it. Um, yeah, yeah. You know, here in a couple of months, we're going to be begging for it, so this is truly is beautiful. But what has happened is you notice, you talked about this morning, your stock pond is just brimming full. It's just overflowing with abundance, and this lake here is up, and it's just been amazing watching it, the different water levels. I came out on Friday after that real heavy rain had stopped, and the water was coming up, you know, where you could see it, and it wasn't too bad. I came out yesterday, Kathy and I came out yesterday, and it was like 5 feet higher, just in a 24-hour period. And now today it's 3 feet lower. So it's, you know, it's really moving around. You know, so it's in flux right now. It's very fluid. But what I was reminded of on Friday when I was standing here, because I was all by myself, the clouds were over, and it was still raining a little bit. I had my umbrella up, and just hearing the raindrops hitting, it reminded me of kind of us and life. And you know, we're all part of this great big ocean, and then sometimes we try to separate, and we try to go be our own self and not be connected anymore, and, you know, live according to the world. And that's kind of like being a raindrop, but we always come back. And as I was sitting there, and this was much more profound than what I'm saying, because that's not my message this morning, even though it's true, we are one, even when we think we're separated. We, you know, like the raindrop, we still hold all those attributes of God. The raindrop holds all the attributes of water, of ocean, of lakes. We too are like that. Even when we think we're separated, we still are one with God. And like I said, this became pretty profound, and I realized how much standing on a shoreline has meant in my life. And I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, for those of you that don't know this. And I remember as a little kid going to the river and watching the river boats going up and down. And instead of seeing these big, beautiful, just incredible river boats as huge, incredible boats docked, I'm wondering, where do they go? Where do they come from? What happens on that boat? What's it like to be? I think I kind of had some Mark Twain, or, you know, I thought something happening in me. I'm not sure, but I remember watching that, and I always wondered about the water going by. You know, it's like some deep thoughts happening. Even as a little kid, I didn't always get the answers that I was wondering about, but it was there. Well, as I grew up and was able to do it on my own, I would find myself going to the river and just sitting on the rocks and watching the barges going up and down and wondering the same thing about those barges. But then I realized that a lot of what I was doing was, I would ask, when I had the deep questions that I didn't want to ask mom or dad or friends, I could just ask them to God. And I didn't know it was God at the time. I was just thinking, so I thought. And answers would come to me. I would get insight and aha moments. And it didn't stop there on the Mississippi River. It happened on lakes and rivers and streams all through my life. My favorite place in all the world to go, well, it's actually two of them. One is the ocean, and the other are the rivers running through the Ozarks. I just absolutely love that, because you can go there and I just totally get lost. I become purely one with God. There's no doubt in my mind that that's where it is. That is so spiritual to me. You have the sound of the river going over the rocks. It's just a little bubbling sound, and I truly can ask questions, and I truly do get answers. One other thing, Kathy and I have worked on a couple of different places that had, you know, that were on shorelines. One was over on Lake Grapevine. And I remembered one day that I was just struggling. I had just developed a new team development company. I had events that were already sold and planned and ready to go, and I had no name for my company. And I'm standing out on our deck looking out over the lake, over Lake Grapevine, and I asked the question, what am I supposed to name my company? And I looked up, and some clouds that were kind of moving this way went, whoop, and they shifted. And it was pretty profound. I mean, it was a very distinct shift. what was that all about? And I looked down at the water thinking, pondering what I saw up here. I looked in the water and I saw the ripples do the same thing. Well, what in the world? And I named my company Changing Currents because it was the wind currents and the water currents that had shifted. And it turned out that everybody loved that name, so it worked really well. So I got answers, and this happened all the time, and even at times I don't know it. People throughout history, cultures, entire cultures throughout history, have tuned into nature to connect with God, their version of God. The Native Americans are beautiful examples of that. You know, Mother Earth, the Father Sky, the sun, animals, everything about nature served them in their spiritual connection. Everything. One of my favorite shows I've just discovered is America Uncovered, I think is the name of it. And this guy studies all of these different, you know, his whole deal is talking about people showing up in America before Columbus did. But every different culture he talks about is tuned into nature to connect. They're getting messages. Well, as I'm standing out here just 100 yards that way, watching the water do what it was doing, and a lot of it was nothing. It was just peaceful, sitting there watching it, hearing the birds, really tuning in. It occurred to me that that was a divine connection. And we have named our community Divine Connection. So while you can always find a divine connection here, and it's very important that we can do that. You know, to sidetrack here, my goal is to create many different opportunities, classes. We've talked about building some meditation areas around the property. Yesterday, Kathy and I visited the, what was that thing, Earth Day celebration in Sherman, and then we went over to the trade days. And we sat down in a chair and got some beautiful chair massages, twice. And it reminded me of some of the things that we talked about, having massage days and Reiki days, and it's just a health day that we can have here. And all of these thoughts just come rolling into me. And yes, that would be a way for people to come here and have divine connection. And I want that. I desire that. I am going to find ways to help that happen. And every time somebody comes out here for that connection, I want to help them find a way to take it with them. You know, we always have a divine connection, but we sometimes forget that we can have it somewhere other than here. I taught a self-improvement seminar. I don't know how many years I taught that thing. I was an assistant teacher with it. That we taught 27 tools to empower your life. I could use those inside that room, that classroom, perfectly. I was an ace. And I would walk out and it was like, those tools are just for that room. It took me years to realize that, literally years, to realize that I could put those into play outside of that room. And what I realized, when I finally came to this realization and started looking at why I wasn't using it, I was not using it because I thought people outside either would look at me like I was nuts. Because, you know, think about it, you're in a car accident and you look at it as a good thing. You know, most people would be all, oh my God, can't believe this just happened. And I'm sitting over here going, wow, what can I learn from this? You know, people would look at you like you're crazy. Okay? So I wasn't using it because of what other people would think. And then when I got over that, I wasn't using it because I thought, well, you know, it works over there with people who know it, but these people who don't know it will never understand it, so I've got to change me. It's the same with this divine connection. We can lose that sometimes. And I think that you guys, at least when I run into y'all even outside of here, I don't see that we've lost it. And maybe it's because we're all just able to be natural with each other. But other people, those people that I want coming into our community, the new folks that we haven't met yet, I want them to be able to experience something so lovely here that they just have to take it with them. We have that here. And we have it everywhere because we truly are one with God and with each other. Part of that show, back to that America Unearthed, one of the guy's points that he makes on everything is this culture over here had this special circular spiral design that they would carve into rocks. And he found a similar design over here in America. And he'd say, well, that has to prove that this group came here. Maybe. Maybe it was the same group, but there is a universal consciousness. There is a oneness in what we know, other people know. What we know about God, other people know about God, and they may speak a different language about it. They may use different words or different descriptions, but it's all God. And so, you're shaking your head. I think yeah. So I'm thinking there is a universal consciousness. It's not so much that's not proof to me. I'm not going to say that the people didn't get here before Columbus, because there's enough facts without his comparisons to prove that they did. But those facts, all that proves to me is that there's a universal consciousness, that there are people in the Mayan culture that saw things the same way as some of the Native American Indians saw it. And we're seeing things the same way that our friends in the religious science group see things and the unity group see things, and we don't have to talk to each other to see it. It's all about our connection with God. I truly believe that in that divine connection we receive, maybe not messages, but thoughts and feelings, and it's the same thoughts and feelings that people from a whole different culture may be receiving. So divine connection is just about God. It's not about me sitting here saying, you have to follow these guidelines to be connected to God. You will never, ever hear me say that. I will give you some ideas on what works for me. And then you get to go play with it. And you get to go do your own thing. All I'm going to do is remind you that we can be one with God always. We can have that divine connection. And I am so happy we named our community Divine Connection. This plays into it just beautifully, and it was not what I had in mind when we did it. I love it. I'm sorry, I just get carried away here. Divine Connection is available always. It's available to each and every person walking this earth, and each and every spirit surrounding us, and each and every... God's everywhere. God is in everything. There is no way that we have a reason not to be connected, except that we choose not to see it. We choose not to see it, and we feel like we're separated. I read somewhere the other day that when you feel that you're separated, even though that's an illusion, that's where you experience hell, is in that feeling of separation. And all you have to do is open your eyes, see that you're fully connected, see God in everything, everywhere, and you're in heaven. Simple as that. I choose the love and the connection of heaven. And I choose it every single day.